INFJs often confuse people. They're quiet, kind, and thoughtful. But somehow, without even trying, they can make fake people uncomfortable, irritated, or even hostile. This isn't because the INFJ is rude. It's not because they say too much. In fact, it's often the opposite. It's their calm presence, deep insight, and quiet honesty that triggers fake people the most. Fake people rely on one thing above all else: appearance. They build their image carefully. They want to be seen in a certain way, and they do what they can to protect that image. They avoid real emotion, hide behind charm or noise, and don't want to be truly known. But the INFJ sees past all of that. From the moment a fake person meets an INFJ, there's tension. The INFJ doesn't play along with shallow games. They don't need attention or approval. They don't chase trends, and they don't flatter for personal gain. They just show up as themselves, honest, observant, and emotionally aware. That alone is enough to make fake people feel exposed. Even when the INFJ says nothing, they give off a quiet energy that unsettles people who have something to hide. Their gaze feels steady. Their silence feels heavy. Their presence feels too real. For someone who spends their life avoiding authenticity, the INFJ is like a mirror that can't be turned away from. This isn't always a dramatic conflict. Sometimes it's subtle. A fake person avoids the INFJ, gossips behind their back, or makes passive comments that don't seem like a big deal. But underneath it all is discomfort, because the INFJ makes them feel seen. And not in a good way. The truth is, fake people don't hate the INFJ because of something the INFJ does. They hate the INFJ because of who the INFJ is. They hate that the INFJ doesn't fall for lies. They hate that the INFJ holds others to a higher standard. They hate that the INFJ brings depth into spaces that depend on shallow behavior. In this video, we'll explore the real reasons why fake people feel so threatened by the INFJ. This isn't about ego or superiority. It's about understanding why INFJs often clash with people who pretend, manipulate, or wear masks. If you're an INFJ, this might help you make sense of past experiences. And if you know one, you'll learn why their honesty can feel like a spotlight, especially for those who have something to hide. Reason number 1. The INFJ's honesty exposes superficiality. INFJs are not interested in surface-level conversations or fake connections. They crave truth. They speak honestly, ask deep questions, and want real answers. This makes fake people uncomfortable because their entire identity often depends on avoiding truth. In any social situation, INFJs naturally pull things into deeper territory. They might ask, "How are you really?" or question something that doesn't feel sincere. They're not trying to confront people. It's just how they think. They can't stay in the shallow end of a conversation for long. Their mind looks for meaning, and when it doesn't find it, they start to feel out of place. This makes fake people feel threatened. Fake people rely on things staying light, easy, and controlled. They want to guide the conversation, tell people what they want to hear, and avoid real emotional exposure. When an INFJ walks in with honest thoughts and sincere questions, it breaks that pattern. INFJs also notice when something feels off. If someone says one thing but acts another way, the INFJ feels it immediately. If someone's tone doesn't match their words, the INFJ picks up on it. Their intuition catches these subtle clues, and their natural honesty makes it hard for them to ignore them. They may not always speak up, but their silence says enough. Just by not agreeing, not laughing at the fake joke, or not playing along, the INFJ sends a message: "I see what's going on." And that's what fake people can't stand. They feel exposed, seen through, unmasked. In work settings, INFJs don't play political games. They don't flatter the boss to get ahead. They don't gossip to gain power. They just do their job with focus and integrity. This makes others, especially those who rely on fake charm, look bad in comparison. Without trying, the INFJ makes others feel like they have to explain themselves. In friendships, INFJs don't chase popularity. They don't pretend to like things they don't. They don't fake smiles. They'd rather be alone than be surrounded by empty people. This honesty is often misread as arrogance or coldness, but it's not. It's just that INFJs don't believe in wasting time on things that aren't real. This is why fake people often talk behind their back. They may say the INFJ is too serious, too intense, or not friendly. But what they really mean is, this person doesn't play along with my act. INFJs don't try to bring others down. But their natural way of being, quiet, thoughtful, honest, shines a light on people who live behind walls. That light makes those people squirm. They don't want to change, but they don't want to be seen either. And that's why the INFJ's presence alone is enough to cause friction. Reason number 2. They can see through deception and masks. NFJs are natural detectors of what's fake. They don't need proof, long explanations or obvious signs. They just know. Their intuition is sharp, silent, and constant. It picks up on body language, tone, patterns in behavior, and emotional energy. Even when someone is putting on a perfect act, the INFJ often sees straight through it. This ability makes fake people nervous. Most of the time, their masks work. They have learned how to smile just right, how to sound confident, how to hide their insecurity. Most people fall for it. But the INFJ doesn't. They don't get distracted by surface charm. They pay attention to the energy underneath. Even when the INFJ doesn't say anything, their eyes say enough. Fake people can feel that the INFJ isn't buying it. And because they thrive on approval, they panic when someone sees through them. They may start acting defensive, overly friendly, or subtly aggressive. Anything to regain control of the situation. What makes it worse for fake people is that INFJs rarely confront them directly. They don't cause scenes. They don't argue or accuse. They simply withdraw. They go quiet. They step back. And that silence is powerful. It signals, I know what's happening and I'm not going to play along. INFJs also tend to ask questions that get under the surface. Not rude or aggressive questions, but thoughtful ones. These questions make fake people uncomfortable because they don't want to reflect. They want to perform. When someone asks, why does that matter to you? Or, how did that really make you feel? It forces them to face what they've been avoiding. In relationships, this ability is especially strong. INFJs notice small lies, emotional shifts, and changing patterns. If a partner starts pulling away, they feel it. If a friend is hiding something, they sense it. They may not always act right away, but they store that knowledge. And when the truth comes out, they're never surprised. This sense of inner knowing can make others feel exposed, even if the INFJ has done nothing wrong. It's not that they try to spy on people. They just naturally pick up on what's behind the mask. And for someone who depends on that mask, the INFJ feels dangerous. Over time, fake people may try to control the INFJ, talk badly about them, or push them out. Not because the INFJ caused harm, but because they refuse to ignore the truth. And in a world full of pretending, refusing to pretend is the one thing fake people can't handle. Reason number 3. Their integrity refuses to validate lies. NFJs are loyal to what they believe is right. They live by a quiet inner code. That code isn't based on popularity, money, or pressure. It's based on values, things like honesty, kindness, fairness, and depth. And when something goes against those values, the INFJ can't pretend it doesn't. This creates tension with fake people. Fake people survive by getting others to go along with their act. They need people to laugh at the right time, agree when it helps them, and stay silent when something shady happens. Most people follow along to avoid conflict. But INFJs don't. They don't go along just to keep the peace. If something feels wrong, they pull away. If someone lies, they don't back it up. If someone is fake, they don't pretend not to notice. Even if they don't say anything out loud, their silence becomes a statement. They won't play a role in something they know isn't real. This refusal to validate lies makes fake people uncomfortable. They count on social approval to protect their image. When someone doesn't give that approval, it creates cracks in their mask. They feel exposed. And the more calm and grounded the INFJ is, the more threatened they feel. The INFJ's integrity isn't loud or showy. It doesn't need attention. It's quiet, steady, and strong. It shows up in the way they speak, act, and even in what they choose not to say. That kind of strength makes it hard for fake people to keep control of a situation. This shows up in work too. If someone takes credit for work they didn't do, the INFJ notices. If someone flatters a boss to get ahead, the INFJ doesn't join in. If a decision goes against their ethics, they raise concerns or walk away. Not to cause drama, but because they can't betray what matters to them. In friendships, this shows up when someone tries to use them. INFJs will support and help others, but only if it's real. If they sense manipulation, they quietly step back. They don't confront unless needed. They simply refuse to pretend the relationship is healthy when it's not. This quiet resistance is what sets INFJs apart. They don't need to fight to make a point. They simply won't lie to protect someone's ego. They won't pretend something is okay when it isn't. And they won't join a game they didn't sign up to play. That kind of personal truth-telling, done calmly and without drama, is what fake people can't stand. Because it means they can't count on the INFJ to support their illusion. And without support, the illusion starts to fall apart. Reason number 4. Their emotional sensitivity pressures shallow interactions. INFJs don't do surface-level emotions. They feel deeply, speak honestly, and want real emotional connection. This means when they show up in a conversation or relationship, they bring their full presence. They don't fake excitement. They don't offer empty comfort. And they don't enjoy pretending that everything is fine when it's not. This emotional depth puts pressure on people who are used to keeping things shallow. Fake people often rely on charm, distractions, or small talk to avoid real emotion. They're comfortable keeping things light and easy. But the INFJ's presence naturally brings things into deeper waters. Even when they're quiet, INFJs create emotional space. That space feels safe and calm, but it also feels like a spotlight. People around them can feel their own mask slipping. Suddenly it becomes harder to pretend. And for fake people, that's a problem. When a fake person tries to keep things casual, the INFJ asks questions that go beneath the surface. Not because they want to dig, but because they care. They want to understand people, not just interact with them. That effort alone makes shallow people feel uneasy. They may respond by pulling away, making sarcastic jokes, or avoiding the INFJ altogether. Sometimes they'll even mock the INFJ for being too emotional or too intense. But deep down, the truth is that they're uncomfortable. The INFJ's emotional sensitivity is shining light on parts of them they'd rather keep hidden. INFJs can also sense when someone is faking an emotion. A forced smile. A compliment that doesn't feel sincere. A dramatic story told for attention. These things don't land with the INFJ. They don't react the way fake people expect, and that breaks the social rhythm. When someone is pretending to care, the INFJ knows. When someone's energy doesn't match their words, the INFJ feels it. They don't always call it out, but their lack of response says it all. And that lack of emotional agreement creates tension that fake people try to escape. This also makes it hard for fake people to manipulate the INFJ emotionally. INFJs don't respond well to guilt trips, emotional games, or attention-seeking behavior. They may notice the pattern right away, even if no one else sees it. And once they see it, they begin to back away. The INFJ isn't trying to expose anyone. They're simply being themselves, open, sincere, and emotionally aware. But that natural state puts pressure on people who depend on surface-level living. And that pressure often turns into dislike, avoidance, or quiet resentment. In short, the INFJ's emotional presence is a challenge to those who fear depth. It asks for realness without demanding it. And for someone who lives in shallow waters, that challenge feels like a threat. Reason number 5. Their strong values create moral tension. INFJs are guided by an internal compass. That compass is built on values like honesty, respect, fairness, and empathy. These values aren't flexible. They don't change based on who's watching or what's convenient. They remain steady, even when it would be easier to let them go. For fake people, this kind of moral consistency is uncomfortable. They're used to adapting their values to fit the situation. They might lie when it helps them, gossip to gain approval, or flatter someone for personal gain. They move with the moment, not with a sense of truth. When an INFJ is around, that flexibility starts to feel wrong, even to them. The INFJ doesn't have to say anything. Just being present with strong, clear values creates tension. It reminds others of what they're ignoring. It forces them to face the gap between how they act and who they pretend to be. This can make fake people feel judged, even when the INFJ isn't judging. It's not about blame, it's about contrast. The INFJ doesn't shift with the room. They don't say things just to be liked. They stay grounded in what they believe. And that grounding makes others feel unstable. This also affects group dynamics. If a group is doing something shady, dishonest, or cruel, the INFJ can't go along quietly. They may speak up, leave, or simply refuse to participate. That action, or inaction, feels like a challenge to everyone else. In these moments, fake people often become defensive. They accuse the INFJ of being difficult, dramatic, or self-righteous. But really, they're reacting to discomfort. The INFJ didn't create the tension. They just refused to pretend it wasn't there. Even in one-on-one situations, the INFJ holds people accountable in quiet ways. They don't let things slide just to keep the peace. If something feels wrong, they'll speak carefully but honestly. If someone breaks their trust, they won't cover it up. They won't explode, but they will walk away. This kind of moral strength is powerful, and fake people know it. They realize they can't control the INFJ with fear, flattery, or pressure. They can't twist the story and expect the INFJ to go along. That makes them feel powerless. And people who feel powerless often lash out. What fake people hate most about the INFJ isn't confrontation. It's the quiet, calm refusal to go along with anything false. That refusal creates tension. And tension forces people to choose, grow, or push the INFJ away. Reason number 6. Their calm confidence undermines insecurity. INFJs don't need to be the loudest in the room. They don't fight for attention, chase compliments, or try to prove themselves. Their confidence comes from something quieter: self-awareness, emotional depth, and inner clarity. They know who they are, even if they don't always talk about it. That calm confidence is powerful. And for fake people, it's threatening. Fake people often depend on noise. They want to be noticed. They use drama, exaggeration, or charm to control how others see them. But all of that is built on insecurity. They need outside approval to feel okay inside. That makes them sensitive to anyone who doesn't respond the way they expect. When the INFJ doesn't feed their ego, laugh at their jokes, or give the attention they're fishing for, it creates a problem. The fake person starts to feel invisible. Not because the INFJ is rude, but because the INFJ isn't playing their game. That lack of reaction feels like rejection. And rejection touches the insecurity they have been trying to hide. What makes it worse is that INFJs stay calm even when others try to create chaos. They don't overreact. They don't compete. They don't rush to defend themselves. That stillness makes fake people nervous. Because it shows emotional control, something they usually don't have. INFJs also don't rely on image. They don't care about impressing people. They care about being real. That natural confidence in their own values and thoughts makes others question themselves. And for someone who has built their identity on being liked, that kind of quiet strength can feel like a threat. In group settings, INFJs often stand apart without trying. They don't speak just to be heard. But when they do speak, people listen. Their words carry weight, not because they're loud, but because they're thoughtful. That kind of influence can make fake people feel insecure or competitive. Over time, this tension builds. The fake person may start acting passive-aggressive, talking behind the INFJ's back, or trying to pull them down. But it rarely works. Because the INFJ doesn't need to fight to prove their worth. They simply step away from the nonsense and keep being themselves. That's what makes fake people so uncomfortable around INFJs. They can't control them, outshine them, or shake their sense of self. And that calm, quiet confidence is something fake people want, but don't know how to build. Fake people don't hate the INFJ because of anything loud or aggressive. They hate the INFJ because the INFJ sees too clearly, feels too deeply, and refuses to pretend. Every part of the INFJ's personality shines light into places fake people try to keep dark. It's not a conflict of personality. It's the conflict of truth versus illusion. INFJs don't try to expose anyone, but their presence often does. And for people hiding behind masks, that exposure feels dangerous. But for the INFJ, this isn't a curse, it's a gift. Their honesty, depth, and quiet strength help them stay real in a world full of performance. And while fake people may avoid them, the right people are drawn to them for all the same reasons. This is why fake people hate the INFJ.